There's a moment in almost every conversation when you feel compelled to explain yourself. A friend questions your choice, a colleague doubts your approach, a family member misreads your intention, and suddenly your words spill out. You justify, you clarify, you apologize. Every extra word chips away at your presence. You are there, but not fully present. Why do we do this? Childhood often teaches it. Maybe you were scolded for speaking up, or your feelings were dismissed. Perhaps you learned that silence was safer than risk. Carl Jung called this a symptom of disconnection, a psyche tethered to external validation rather than internal truth. You internalize that your existence must be negotiated with others' approval. In modern life, it looks like over-explaining in workplace emails, texting long justifications when someone questions your plans, or adding a "sorry if I'm wrong" to your social media posts to avoid backlash. Each explanation feels polite, but it silently hands over authority to someone else. Historically, leaders understood this. Julius Caesar rarely over-explained his choices in the Senate. Machiavelli observed that the less a ruler speaks in excess, the more respect they command. Silence magnifies power. It transforms perception. It signals a mind unwilling to be cornered. The danger isn't that others notice your flaws, it's that you constantly smooth them over, surrendering internal authority. And here's the truth. The first step to reclaiming it is noticing the pattern. The next is choosing silence, even when it feels unnatural, awkward, or uncomfortable. Once you recognize the trap, its cost becomes clear. Over-explaining doesn't just create social discomfort, it fragments the self. You live in two states, the person you are and the person you perform to satisfy others. Autonomy erodes, self-respect diminishes. Signs appear subtly. Anxiety after meetings, doubt after decisions, feeling that nothing you say is ever enough. You might appear polite or agreeable, but internally there's tension. Your nervous system becomes trained to seek external validation rather than internal alignment. Every explanation strengthens the belief that your existence depends on someone else's approval. Jung described this as disconnection from the self. Chronic over-explaining can even lead to stress, low self-esteem, or indecision. Leaders who over-justify collapse under scrutiny. Soldiers and philosophers who mastered restraint preserved authority. Over-explainers reveal their vulnerabilities with every unnecessary word. In today's world, it's common. Workplace emails justify every decision. Text chains clarify every feeling. Social media posts explain every mood. And behind this, your internal authority slips away. You act for others' comfort, not your own values. The solution? Awareness, pause, and deliberate silence. Not avoidance, but presence. By withholding explanation, you reclaim space for your own mind, signal internal alignment, and start reshaping your relationships and perception. Why do we feel the need to explain ourselves? Often, it starts long before memory, in childhood. Repetition, neglect, ridicule, withdrawal, praise for compliance, punishment for assertion. Emotional lessons spoken without words. Explaining oneself becomes survival. Freud and Jung explored these patterns. Early trauma leaves psychological debt. Explaining yourself shields against abandonment or censure. Over time, it becomes automatic, almost a second language spoken unconsciously. Modern examples are everywhere. A teenager constantly texts friends to clarify their feelings, fearing exclusion. An employee emails a lengthy justification for minor errors. A young creator over-explains their choices on social media to avoid criticism. These are minor moments, but repeated, they erode internal authority. Historically, leaders understood the risk. Generals, philosophers, rulers, they learned that revealing too much invites vulnerability. Silence conveys strength without aggression. Each unnecessary justification leaks power. The habit is subtle but powerful. Awareness is the first step. Recognizing the urge to explain is uncomfortable but essential. The next step is choice. Pause. Sun Tzu wrote about patience and observation. Machiavelli described the power of restraint in speech. Silence communicates what words cannot. Confidence, alignment, unshakable presence. In daily life, it is subtle but effective. A colleague questions your plan. Pause. A friend judges your decision. Wait. Observe. The room unconsciously shifts toward your presence. Others reveal intentions and weaknesses without a single word from you. Historical examples reinforce this. Caesar in counsel, Napoleon in strategy, Plato in debate. All understood that over-explaining leaks authority. Silence forces others to interpret, speculate, and react. It makes them reveal more than you do. In modern terms, imagine a heated Slack discussion. Instead of defending your idea immediately, you pause. The overzealous debater overplays their hand. Your silence becomes a strategic advantage. Online or offline, measured speech creates respect and influence. Practically, silence is active, not passive. Awareness, patience, and presence are required. It disrupts the flow of dependency internalized for years, and in that disruption lies quiet power. Every time you over-explain, you surrender a small piece of your authority. You defer to someone else's judgment, often unconsciously. Each apology, each justification, each unnecessary elaboration chips away at your autonomy and self-trust. The first step to reclaiming authority is noticing this pattern. Awareness is key. The next step is practice. Pause. Let the urge to justify exist without acting on it. Hold space in silence. It feels awkward at first. Maybe a friend questions a decision and your instinct is to explain. Resist. Simply exist in alignment with your own perception. Modern examples. In group chats, when someone asks, "Why did you skip the meeting?" Instead of defending your choice, a simple, "I had other priorities," is enough. On social media, if someone critiques your post, you don't need a paragraph defending yourself. Your stance is valid without justification. Carl Jung described individuation as becoming a whole self, distinct from projections and expectations of others. Over-explaining is the opposite, scattering the self to accommodate external worlds. Reclaiming authority is about validating your own experience first. The discomfort of others becomes irrelevant. Your internal compass becomes decisive. Historical figures exemplify this. Marcus Aurelius spoke little, acted decisively, and radiated calm authority. Aristotle taught through conviction, never seeking external approval. They acted from alignment with internal truth, not to please others. Their respect was a byproduct of internal coherence. Practically, reclaiming authority requires small, deliberate acts. Resisting the impulse to justify, pausing before speaking, and observing manipulative dynamics without reacting. Some colleagues or friends may test or challenge you. Hold your presence. Observe. Do not react defensively. Your calm alignment communicates clarity. Start small today. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself unnecessarily, pause. Breathe. Let your silence be your answer. Comment below with one situation where you will practice this week. By doing this consistently, you reclaim power quietly, invisibly, but effectively. Authority isn't abstract. It is tested. Once you stop over-explaining, the world reacts. Not everyone will like it. Some will push, some will misinterpret, some may even try to provoke you back into old patterns. People accustomed to reading you through your justifications feel disoriented. Their expectation of submission has been disrupted. Thomas Hobbes described human interaction as a constant negotiation of power. Silence disrupts that negotiation. It forces others to reckon with a presence that isn't contingent on approval. This can create tension, but tension isn't your enemy. It is a sign your internal authority is asserting itself. Modern examples. In a team meeting, instead of over-defending your proposal, you pause. Some colleagues may challenge you aggressively. You observe. Their reactions reveal priorities, weaknesses, and tendencies. Online debates, you refuse to justify every post or comment. People who previously relied on your over-explaining begin to lose control of the narrative. Psychologically, discomfort signals growth. Conflict becomes information, not threat. You maintain alignment, not reaction. Every impulsive explanation is a move given away. Every pause is a controlled advantage. Influence arises from observation and presence, not dominance or argumentation. Strategically, this is like chess. Silence is a position of strength. Over time, those who attempt manipulation or control begin to reveal their patterns, while your authority solidifies. The more aligned you are internally, the less you need verbal negotiation. Influence becomes natural, effortless, and invisible. Try this today in a small interaction, maybe at work, with family, or on social media. Hold your stance, pause before explaining, and observe the effect. Share your experience in the comments. Notice how people's reactions begin to reflect your new presence. The discomfort is temporary, but the authority you gain lasts. The final stage is subtle, almost imperceptible. Once silence becomes habitual, once internal authority solidifies, the world begins to respond differently. Not because you demand it, but because your presence communicates alignment and authenticity. People notice it without knowing why. Judgments soften, conflicts diminish, influence arises naturally. You are no longer negotiating perception, you simply inhabit reality as you perceive it. Historical examples: Marcus Aurelius walking calmly through Rome, Plato quietly observing in the Agora, Caesar in the Senate. Their authority was quiet. They did not shout, they did not justify, they simply were aligned with themselves, and the world recognized it. Modern parallels: think of a manager who doesn't over-justify their decisions, yet the team trusts them completely. Or a content creator who posts without long explanations, yet followers respect their choices and engage deeply. Their silence and consistency create presence that speaks louder than words. Psychologically, this reduces anxiety, increases resilience, and clarifies perception. Decisions become easier, aligned with internal truth. Relationships become authentic, built on respect rather than obligation. Where fear of judgment once dictated action, internal authority now guides it. Symbolically, it's like moving from shadow into light. Where once explanations scattered power, silence now concentrates it. Where fear of judgment ruled, internal authority leads. The observer becomes the axis, presence a force that is subtle but undeniable.